Hey everyone, Applied Materials reported quarterly financial results that is sending the stock higher. I will review those numbers in this video here. I'll also update my buy recommendation for Applied Materials stock. Coming into the quarter, I did have Applied Materials stock rated as a buy. I'll update that recommendation and let you know if it's still a buy following these earnings results. I'll also look at its longer term history, operating profit margin and cash flow from operations for the last 10 years. And I'll look at its prospects for the next 5 years to justify my recommendation, whatever it might fall to, whether it's a buy, hold, or a sell. So let's get started with the latest quarterly results.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, so Applied Materials reported revenue of 6.65 billion, which was flat year over year, the same amount this year versus last year. But for semiconductor companies like Applied Materials, that's actually good news. The semiconductor industry is just now coming out of that cyclical downturn and is now turning around and moving higher on the back of rising effectiveness of artificial intelligence. And slowly what's also sneaking in is the replacement cycle of the electronics that were purchased during the earlier stages of the pandemic. So there's a twofold cyclical upturn happening here for the semiconductor industry, and it's just the tip of the iceberg here. Its operating profit margin came in at 28.8%, which also was flat year over year, and non-GAAP EPS of $2.09. The CEO, Gary Dickerson, saying Applied Materials continues to deliver strong performance in 2024 with fiscal second quarter revenue and earnings towards the high end of our guidance range. So whatever management was expecting coming into this quarter, the quarter turned out on the higher end of expectations, like the best case scenario they were thinking. That's what happened in the current quarter. And management thinks these good times will continue. In the next quarter, they expect net revenue to be approximately 6.65 billion, which is the same as it reported in the second quarter, and non-GAAP EPS to be in the range of $1.83 to $2.19. Undoubtedly, fiscal year 2025 will be much better for Applied Materials as the semiconductor industry overall rebounds and moves forward. Now, analysts on Wall Street tend to agree. They think that over the next 5 years, Applied Materials earnings per share will grow by 13.18% per year over the next 5 years. Now, this will be on the back of rising demand for semiconductors from artificial intelligence primarily, and companies that Applied Materials supplies, it's two of its main customers, Taiwan Semiconductor and Intel. They are spending billions of dollars in a huge manufacturing expansion. Taiwan Semiconductor is adding new facilities in Taiwan, new facilities in Japan, new facilities in Arizona. Intel adding new facilities as well, as the US government and governments worldwide, even the Japanese government, offering billions, tens of billions of dollars to enhance manufacturing capacity for semiconductors. Applied Materials stands to benefit from that growth in investment in increasing semiconductor manufacturing capacity. So its prospects look very good going forward over the next 5 years and likely over the next 10 years. I think we're just in the early stages of the expansion in the AI industry that's fueling demand for semiconductors. And you heard the CEO say that they're just in the beginning of the rebound here. Now, if you look longer term, Applied Materials has done an excellent job achieving economies in scale and expanding its operating profit margin, which has increased up to 28.89% in the most recent trailing 12-month period. Similarly, Applied Materials has increased its cash flow from operations to sales over the trailing 12-month period to 33.06%. That was up from 16% in 2015. I love to see companies increasing their profit margin as they increase revenue. that demonstrates they're getting better at what they do. That demonstrates they're moving higher along the learning curve. That demonstrates they're developing pricing power. And finally, that they're earning competitive advantages. Those are all good signs when I'm looking at and considering an investment. Now, Applied Materials is trading at a forward price to earnings of 21.93. You can see it bottomed out around July, October of 2022 before rebounding and ripping higher here and trading at forward price to earnings of 21.93. You could have had Applied Materials stock at less than half of this valuation towards the end of 2022 when it was trading at a forward price to earnings of roughly 10. So hindsight, of course, is 2020, but I've been recommending Applied Materials stock for some months now. I don't recall precisely when I first recommended Applied Materials stock as a buy, but I've had it recommended as a buy for some time. So am I keeping Applied Materials stock a buy following these quarterly earnings results? The answer is yes, I'm keeping Applied Materials stock a buy. I'm updating this on May 16, 2024. Of course, with any investment, there are risks and there are downsides, one of which is that Applied Materials has a large exposure to sales in China, and the geopolitical tensions are not great right now. And so it could face some difficulty because it sells so much to that region. That's one risk to look out for. Additionally, the semiconductor industry has always been cyclical. It always goes through ups and downs every few years, and it could be that the downs are larger than expected, which causes trouble for some companies that don't manage very well. But Applied Materials has a strong balance sheet, so I don't suspect that a cyclical downturn will do the company unrepairable damage. And the valuation at a forward PE of just 21, I think is attractive considering its prospects over the next several years. And this tailwind, this cyclical upturn, I suspect is going to be larger than any of its previous cyclical upturns in the past, given those two very strong forces that are going to propel semiconductor demand forward, and that's the artificial intelligence and the replacement cycle for all those electronics that were purchased in the early parts of 2020. And I know electric vehicle demand is not growing as quickly as many of these EV companies had hoped, but the EV industry will grow, even if it's going to grow much slower than expected. And Applied Materials also sells into that industry, and so that's going to bring extra incremental demand for Applied Materials over the next several years. So for all those reasons, I think Applied Materials stock is a solid long-term investment. Did you know that over 90% of the people that watch my channel are not subscribed? It'll really help support my channel if you hit that subscribe button. And oh, by the way, one of the benefits of being subscribed is that I take requests from subscribers more often than I do from non-subscribers. So if you prefer that benefit, please subscribe to the channel.